All right. Greetings to you, everyone. Greetings to you, everyone. We come to you live from the exchange, and you are all welcome to the exchange forum. My name is Ibrahim Valley Kamarai, and from Kwaduboni District, house number 003, Konadu Town, Lofa County. And today we have a fascinating discussion with one of our brothers, one of our own, from somewhere around the world. And who is this person? Yes, today we'll be having an interactive discussion with him. So basically, we first start by bringing you greetings from the exchange family. And we start by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depends your location. Our founder, Elijah Dennis, our special regards and gratitude to you for creating such forum for the Liberian students across the world. Today is Wednesday, October 26, 2022. And our guest today is Mr. Emmanuel Okpala, a student leader, a researcher, and a PhD candidate from Czech Republic. He's our guest today. And frankly speaking, we're going to be having an amazing and fascinating discussion with him, interactive discussion with him today regarding issue circulating study opportunities. Studies opportunity at affordable university in Europe where he resides. So quickly, we're going to start first by the introduction of our panelists. So our panelists, you first introduce yourself, and then before we get to our guest. So we start with Samuel. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, please introduce yourself, please.
Okay, good afternoon, good
next
morning,
Alfred,
good
next to
evening.
Tonia.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wheresoever you are following us. My name is Simon H. Yiman. I'm a student of the Osmania University, studying MSc Microbiology, and I'm a Liberian. I think we want to say welcome to our guest and welcome to all of our panelists here. We hope and pray that this discussion be a fascinating one and an interactive one, and we hope to achieve greatly from our discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. Alfred. Okay, Tonia.
Okay, good afternoon.
Work on your volume. You are not audible, Tonia.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all of our followers and our platform guests. My name is Tony Esther, a student from the LCET, College of Engineering and Technology, located Louisiana, Katani, Kalon, and one of your panelists tonight.
Thank you. Alfred.
Alfred is up, so let's go to Elijah, then we...
Okay, Elijah, let's go.
Elijah, please bring me up. Okay. Okay, I'm good now, right?
Yeah, you are good now, sure.
Okay. My name is Ambassador Alfred Checker from Rashcote University. Attended of master in machine design and manufacturing. I hold a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a postgraduate diploma in water and sanitation engineering.
Thank you. Elijah. Elijah, you are not audible.
Okay, hello.
Yes, we're getting you now.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity given me. I want to say welcome and welcome to the exchange. Whatsoever you are following. This is the exchange forum. We say welcome, and my name is Elijah Dennis.
Now you have to work on your internet.
You are not audible, Elijah. Check your microphone. Check your mic.
Am I audible now? It is okay?
Sure, you are. Sure.
Okay. I want to say welcome and welcome to the exchange. Wheresoever you are, I want to say welcome. My name is Elijah Dennis, one of the panelists to the exchange. So I want to say welcome.
Thank you. Thank you to all of the panelists. And once more, want to say welcome to our guest and to all of our followers. We want you to do us a favor. As we said earlier, today is an amazing and fascinating discussion where we have our brother Emmanuel as our guest, and he's going to be drawing us through studies opportunities, many studies opportunities, how to get to Europe and study at affordable universities. So the favor we want all of our followers to do for us is this. As you follow, we want you to share. We want you to keep sharing so that many of our brothers and sisters across the world who wants to come to Europe for study, they can use this as an opportunity. So please, as you follow, we ask you to please share. So we are going to take a musical break for a minute as you continue to share, and right after that, we continue with the show. So please give us a musical break, and we ask all of our followers to please share. So all of our followers, we ask you to please share to all of the various platforms so that our brothers and sisters across, both in and out of Liberia, will have this opportunity to follow this show and have the opportunity to make use of this opportunity, to make maximum use of this opportunity. Please share, please share, please. All right, as you continue sharing, we come to you live from the Exchange family. And the Exchange is an online forum where we discuss entertainment, where we discuss social and political issues, where we discuss economic issues, where we discuss relevant issues of importance relating to the betterment of Liberians and Liberia, relating to the upliftment of Liberia. So we come to you live from the Exchange. And today, as we said, our guest today is our own brother, our own Liberian brother. He is Emmanuel Ukpala. Emmanuel, firstly, we'll give him the time to introduce yourself so that at least our followers and all of those that follow our show on a regular basis, and for those of you your first time today, we want to say you are wholeheartedly welcome and recognized. So we ask our guest to please introduce yourself. Who is Emmanuel Ukpala?
Okay, thank you guys. Can you hear me?
Sure, we're hearing you.
Okay, Firstly, I want to appreciate the opportunity you guys for inviting me, and I want to thank Simon for inviting me, and thank you guys for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you guys and of course your followers. Firstly, my name is Emmanuel Akopala. I am a Nigerian residing in Europe, and I had my first degree in biosciences in Nigeria, and I moved to London after that, where I had my diploma in health and social care. And then, of course, I also had the postgraduate diploma in health and social care sector. Then I had my first master's at the University of Hertfordshire in molecular biology. Then after that, I moved to Luxembourg for my second master's in integrated system biology. And then currently, I am a final year student, a PhD student at the Czech University of Life Sciences, Prague, in the Czech Republic. And my area of interest or my research focus is on musculoskeletal infections, drug discovery, and the rest of them. So, just to give a background about how I knew Simon, I think in the next 1 or 2 minutes. So, having lived in the UK for a couple of years, studied and worked there. I mean, my first master at the University of Hertfordshire was probably about £11,500 for 1 year masters. But then when I went to Luxembourg for my second master's, where I did my second master's, I was paying €200 per semester. One of the top universities in Europe. And I was wondering, a lot of people don't have this information because most of the schools in European Union are quite very affordable, and most of them are actually on scholarship basis. So based on that experience, I started to create a platform. I got a YouTube channel to create this information to people that you don't need to break the bank to fulfill your ambition to study in Europe. And I started a channel last year to make some videos about these school opportunities, how much you can pay, how you can travel, requirement to get admission, visa, stuff like that. And that's how Simon bumped into one of my videos a couple of weeks ago, and then we started talking. So bottom line, I'm into academic. I'm also a teacher here in Prague. I teach in a high school here, student between age 12 and 18. Also IGCSE Cambridge biology teacher and diploma teacher also in Prague, Czech Republic. So I'm willing to answer your guys' question regarding about studying in Europe in terms of application process, in terms of opportunities, in terms of schools and stuff like that. And then whatever you have to ask me specifically, I'm here to respond to your questions. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Brother Emmanuel. Yeah, I'm finding a little difficulty in pronouncing the last name. I always call it Opala.
Actually, he did a
Is
good
it
job.
Opala or?
He did a good job initially. It was fine. He did a good job. Actually,
Okay.
here, they call me. Actually, they pronounce it here like Okopala, but actually it's Opala. Right?
Opala.
It's
All
Opala.
right.
Yeah.
So
So
I
you were,
pronounce it well, right?
yeah, you were very close. Yeah, you were very
That's
close.
great. That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. So thank you so much. And I think we are so anxious because many of us following this show and many of us sitting on this platform. First, the underlying factor is we are all students, right?
Yeah.
We are all students. We leave our various countries, specifically Liberia, and travel long distance to come in search of knowledge, right? And then I think knowledge is the art of knowing and doing things. We have come to acquire that. So it should not be limited or restricted. So we think of going beyond or out of the box. So when we hear about study opportunity in Europe, I think it sounds amazing. And our followers as well, many of them are students. So if they hear of such opportunity, it sounds fascinating. So as such, we would like to know so many things. And one of the things we would like to know about is how can one leave his country, right? It could be, for example, Liberia. How can one leave Liberia to come to Europe for studies? And then what would be some of the requirements when it comes to documents to leave Liberia to come to Europe for studies, right? And probably if someone leaves Liberia and come to, for example, India, where we reside, where I reside currently, and I'm in India and I'm a Liberian, I want to leave India to come to Europe, what would be the requirements? So some of the basic knowledge we would like to know about them, and our followers would like to know about them. And all of our followers, as we told you, please try to share this because we want many people to make use of this opportunity. And I think that's the first thing we'd like to know. So to all of our followers, we want you to please pardon us today because our guest is unable to get access to the video, right? So we want you to please pardon us. You will not be able to see him. Yeah, but probably you will get the audio, you will get his voice clear. And I think
Yeah.
all of us getting him loud and clear. So Brother Emmanuel, this is the
Okay.
first thing we want to know, the documents issue, the documentation.
Yeah. Actually, for the video, I'm still trying as I'm talking. So let's see what happens before the show ends. Okay, so back to your question. The first question you asked is how one can leave his country, for example, Liberia, to come to Europe to study. That was the first part of your question.
Definitely.
I could remember when I was back in Nigeria many years ago, trying to have the ambition to study in Europe. The first thing is I have to make a decision. Is this what you really wanted to achieve? What are your focus? What are your life plan and ambition? And if you are decisive about your ambition in life, then you can be able to become committed towards to achieve that. So it comes down from decision. Are you really ready for that adventure? What is your plan? What is your career objective? Then once you have this part of your thinking sorted out, you begin to think about what are the processes? What do I need to do to achieve this objective? Now, the first thing is that a lot of people, once you are in Africa, I remember many years when I was in Nigeria, once you hear going to Europe to study or anywhere outside your country in Africa, you always think about America, Canada, Australia, UK by default. And you know what comes next, the expenses, the school fees, quite very expensive. And now because of that mindset, a lot of people are discouraged from even trying. But they fail to understand that there's a lot of opportunities in the European Union whereby you don't need to break the bank to fulfill your ambition. So first is to understand that you don't have to spend £12,000, £11,000 to study abroad. You can actually spend far, far less. I mean, as little as €200 per semester. This is not a joke. Even in some cases, also free of charge. But the point is that you need to have the right information and then understand the process and then pursue this process consistently. Now, back to the basics. If you are a Liberian person, for example, and you have this ambition to pursue your academic desire in Europe, I'm focusing on Schengen zone now, which is where I'm residing. By the way, if you live in the European Union Schengen zone, it means that you have unrestricted travel access to the 27 member states, which includes Czech Republic, Germany, Luxembourg, Belgium, Austria, Hungary, Latvia, Sweden, even Switzerland. So that means if you are residing in any of the 27 member states, you can travel to other countries without visa requirement. Okay, and that's why it's called the Schengen Economic Area or EEA area. So now, if you want to study in Europe from Liberia, the first thing is that you have to find out what are the requirements. If you are going for master's degree program, what are the requirements for that? First thing are basics. Most schools will require at least 2.2 minimum in terms of your first degree graduation certificate. In most schools, 2.2 minimum. Then your transcripts of record. I'm using masters for example now. You have to get your transcripts of record from your university in Liberia. Get your high school certificate if you are going for bachelor's degree program. Then you have to also have international passport, of course, your passport document, travel document, and then prepare a CV. And now CV has to be prepared in European Union standard called the Europass, not the normal way prepared in Africa. They have a standard of CV preparation, like a template called Europass. Just go to the website, then you can create your profile and then build your CV based on European Union formats. Okay, and then have your CV, your transcript of record. If you are going for masters for now, I'm using masters as an example in my illustration. You get your transcripts, transcripts of record, bring your CV ready, and then motivational statement in most cases. And this is very important. Most schools require to write motivational statement, which means explain why you choose that particular course. What are the rationale? What are the reasons why you choose to study that program in Europe? You need to explain your background knowledge. For example, if you are going for engineering masters, do you have equivalent first degree that match that intended masters? This is very key. University of Luxembourg, where I had my second master's, are very specific with this. So you have to make sure that the program you tend to study match your background, number one. Then you get your transcript from your previous university in Liberia. Number two, you prepare your CV based on European Union Europass standard. Then have international passport, travel document, and then find out the university's options. Right? You found out what are the universities that match your ambition. For example, there are schools in like Luxembourg, in Czech Republic, in Belgium, in Austria, in Hungary, in Slovakia, in Slovenia. Once you begin to have access to this university, look at which course best match your first degree in terms of relevance. And then you check out the application period for that, what is required, and then when is it summer intake or winter intake, when is the deadline. And I would always advise start getting your documents on time, because some country requires some kind of authentication before you submit your document. For example, in the Czech Republic, if you're planning to study here, after your online application, you need to also certify your document from your country Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Education, which can take some time before you can have your final admission letter given to you. So start on time. If you already know admission was open in next 4 months, start now to get your documents ready. And make sure you follow the guideline by the school strictly to the school guidelines and make your documentation ready. And once the time comes for application, you create an online profile like normal thing, which is kind of easy to do. Upload the document, send the application. Most schools will require you to have an online interview. For example, my school here in Czech Republic will require students to have an online entrance exam, which are not really that very difficult in terms of admission process. However, University of Luxembourg do not conduct online admission interview. That means they focus mainly on all your documents uploaded online during application. So every school have their own specific requirement or process of admission. You have to adhere to that. And other than that, you make the application, get a document uploaded, send it to them, and then wait for them to respond to you. Sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depends on how the volume of application they're processing. And then they will invite you for online interview if the case is required. And eventually, you might have to now send document for authentication for the school to check if they're okay with the Czech Republic, for example, assessment criteria. The once that is done, then they will not issue the offer letter. And then, of course, you pay your tuition fees, which is pretty much not very much. And then the next phase will be the visa phase. So the first phase, admission phase, and then the second phase is visa phase. And then to respond to your second summary of your question in terms of Liberia to Europe. Now, you can move from India. If you're from India, try to come study in Europe, it's possible to move from India to here. It depends on if your Liberian embassy in India can be able to certify some of your documents, for example. If you are trying to come to Czech Republic, for example, and you apply from India to come here, you can apply from any part of the world to come to Czech Republic. But the point is that at some point, you need to authenticate your documents for the school here. For example, you need to authenticate your document. But if you have gotten your degree in India, they don't need to do that in Liberia. You can do that in India, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or India Ministry of Education, obviously. And then you can just apply for your visa from India to here, right? Because when I was in Luxembourg, though that is European Union member state, anyway, I did not go to Nigeria to come here for my PhD. I applied from Luxembourg straight away. But I think even in India, if the country has foreign affairs, which you did your a master's degree or your bachelor's degree in India, you can just apply from India and then authenticate your degree in Indian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay, and then subsequently you can contact your country embassy or whatever to find out other consular support for you. Then you can just apply for your visa from India and then to Czech Republic. So I think I've just summarized the overall point, but if you have any specific area you want me to touch more, please feel free to ask me.
Yeah, sure. One of our brothers wants to come in, Alfred, and before Alfred comes in, you spoke of authentication. So I want you to just a minute or two elaborate a little bit on that, whether the authentication has something to do with the embassy. Probably if we have Liberian embassy in India, right? Or
Yeah.
or we don't have. But let's just use a real life scenario. In actuality, we don't have embassy in India, Liberia, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
we had a consulate year before, but unfortunately, the general consulate passed off, and since then we don't have anything like embassy in India today. So now I am here as a Liberian, and I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Czech Republic, right, to
Yeah.
do my masters,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
anybody want to go there, probably
Yeah.
BSc, master, or whatsoever, PhD, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then what would be the issue about authentication, right?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
issue about documentation, leaving from India to go to Europe.
Yeah.
What is the possibility?
Okay, now thank you for your question. So in response to that question, number one, let me use the Czech Republic as a typical case study. If you are trying to come here to study for your master's or BSc from India, there are two steps of what you need to do. The first step is that you make your online application. For example, my university here, the Czech University of Life Sciences in Prague. Okay, now application will start by next month, November, online application. So you make your online application to the school portal. Okay, you upload all your documents, everything is fine. Then the school will assess your documentation, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks after you have submitted it online. And then if everything is fine and the documents, for example, your BS certificate is uploaded, your transcript, your motivational statement, everything is fine, then they will contact you for possible online entrance exam or interview, as the case may be. That's the second phase. Now, after your online interview, if you have succeeded in the online interview, the third phase is to authenticate your degree documents. What do that mean? That means that your transcripts or your certificate in India has to be assessed to be equivalent of what is expected to be in the Czech Republic educational system. That means they have what is called the so-called nostrification, all right? So this means that the Czech Ministry of Education will have to make sure that your degree in India match what is obtainable standard in the Czech Republic. And before the school will issue the final admission offer, you have to do this. Now, the Czech University of Life Sciences has two ways to do this because notification can take a longer time, sometimes 2-3 months. Now, the school here, my school here, have a license to now do what is called internal evaluation. Okay, that one means that the school is in charge, not Ministry of Education, because that one is almost very much faster. It takes about 3 weeks or thereabout to conclude. So in that internal evaluation, which is equivalent of notification, is that we're going to do, you need to make sure that your degree certificate and your transcripts of a degree in India, for example, are authenticated before you send to the school here for assessment. How do you do that? It must be authenticated in 2 places, Ministry of Education and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not necessarily Liberian Embassy in India. Now, I suppose that because your qualification was obtained in India and not in Liberia, perhaps I felt, I might not be right, but I felt that the degree has to be authenticated in Indian Ministry of Education and Foreign Affairs, and not necessarily Liberian Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Education. So in that regard, you need to make sure that degree you obtain in India is authenticated in the Ministry of Education in India and subsequently in their Foreign Affairs. Once you have done this, you take that document to them, they will certify, stamp it, as the case may be. They have to now send that authenticate. And after that, very importantly, after you must have authenticated at Ministry of Education, first phase, Ministry of Education, second phase, and then you must go to Czech embassy in India to super legalize the same document. All right. So first phase, Ministry of Education in that order, second phase, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then third phase, Czech embassy in India to super legalize those documents already authenticated in those two ministries. All right. And then once you have done this, you now send it to the school here for the internal evaluation or notification, as the case may be. Once you have, remember, you have already passed your online entrance exam before this authentication process I'm talking about. Then eventually, once the school now check the whole document, please make sure you follow this step very, very carefully, because they're very, very specific about it. If you don't do it properly, they will turn it back to you and it's a waste of time. All right. So once you got this authentication done, remember, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then Czech embassy in India. Then you send it here with DSL to the school, foreign international office here. Then within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, once it's okay, they'll notify you. First of all, you have to send them a scanned copy of them for them to make sure it's okay before you send the hard copy with DHL, right? Once they say it's okay, then you now have to now pay the online fee. I think less than 40 euros, not that expensive. But I don't know the exact figure now. And then you now fill the form and send those hard copies of those documents authenticated with the application form for that internal evaluation and send via DHL to the school here. Once they process it, everything is fine, then you pay the tuition fees, which in most cases, for example, PhD here is about 6,000 Czech crowns, less than 300 euros per year, very cheap. And you still have to pay stipends. Master, some of them are 250 euros per year, very cheap. So once the document is fine, it's been evaluated by the school, you pay your school fees, book accommodation online, and then they'll not send you the re-offer letter. After paying tuition fees and your document has been evaluated by the school, then I send the re-offer admission letter with accommodation contract, which you have to use for your visa application. So once you get accommodation contract after all these things, your offer letter from the school, the next step is to book appointment at Czech embassy for your visa. So then you have to prepare your account statement and other things for your visa appointment. That's pretty much the process to come in from India, in summary. Yeah.
Thank you. Alfred, please come in.
Okay. Mr. Maya, okay, thank you for the information. We highly appreciate you for your time you took up from your busy schedule to appear and educate our brothers the way and how they can get to Europe for studies. But one of the things I really want to understand, because in Liberia, most of these ideas or most of these channels that you are proffering tonight, most of our people don't know how to go through it, and most of us don't know how and where to go to authenticate our documents. So let me go straight to the question. In our country, before you leave for another country, you can notarize your document from the notary office. You notarize your document from the notary office. So is that document that is then notarized accepted in Czech Republic from the notary office here?
Me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we are hearing you.
Okay, if you're applying from Liberia, for example, the documents you're going to super legalize has to be notarized anyway. So notary is not enough. Okay. So firstly, once you have the document in Liberia, for example, your certificate of graduation or your transcript, and you have notarized documents from the notary office, you still have to go to the Ministry of Education in Liberia and authenticate those documents. Okay. And Ministry of Foreign Affairs and do the same. And of course, check embassy. I know in some Africa they have offices across. I know in Nigeria they cover some country in Nigeria. I think Togo, other Ivory Coast come to Nigeria for the check embassy services. So Liberia might have a nearby country that they have to go if they don't have embassy in Liberia. You can check that out. I'm not quite sure, but some countries have they have embassy in one country, and other countries can come there for their visa application. Nigeria has about 4 countries that come to Abuja for their own application. So from Liberia, after notary office stamp, whatever, you need to still go to Foreign Affairs Office and Ministry of Education to authenticate those documents and subsequently super legalize them at the Czech embassy, either in Liberia or closer country to Liberia, before you can send them to the school here for evaluation. Even when you want to apply for your visa, you might need to also authenticate some document, for example, criminal record from Liberia or medical report. You have to also translate them into Czech language. I didn't remember, I remember to say this. Translate into Czech language before you can now authenticate and then legalize. In Nigeria, they have no Czech translator in Nigeria. So some guys that I've advised before, send it to Prague here. I give them some contact of who they can contact in Prague for translation. They send them email, they scan the document to them, they translate, send back to them in Nigeria, and they take it to the embassy as the case may be. So regardless of notarization in your notary office in Liberia, you still have to go to authenticate those documents at Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Education, and then subsequently super legalize them at the Czech embassy. As a matter of fact, if you come to the Czech embassy for super legalization, they have to check if you have already authenticated them in the previous ministry I've mentioned. Anyway, they will not do that until they have seen the stamp of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Education before they can super legalize their Czech embassy. So these are like steps you have to take. You can't jump in of them before the final phase. First of all, notarize them as the case may be in notary office, then authenticate them, Ministry of Foreign Affairs in your country, Liberia, for example, and then Ministry of Education, and then Czech embassy either in your country or close to your country for what is called super legalization. The Czech embassy cannot do this except they have seen the stamp of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Education in your document, as the case may be. So there are procedures which you cannot circumvent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Next thing that we may like to know has to do with the English proficiency.
Yeah.
Many schools ask for English proficiency,
Yeah.
and some schools also have waiver to that, especially if you are from a country like Liberia where we speak English or we school in English.
Yeah.
So do we have anything similar like that in schools in Europe?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. In my videos, my videos is very specific. In my YouTube channel, I focus on English taught programs in Europe that are affordable and cheaper, and in most cases also free. And that was deliberate and intentional. And what we find out is that most of these European universities, which are teaching English taught program, always have this waiver. I can talk about University of Luxembourg, Czech Republic, Czech University of Life Sciences, and all the videos I have in my channel. I have videos about school in Belgium, in Austria, in Hungary, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia, and also in Luxembourg. These schools and their English taught program always make it very clear. For example, the University of Luxembourg and the Czech University of Life Sciences, if your previous degree was taught in English language, for example, your first degree in Liberia or in India was taught in English language, or even if your high school, secondary school in Liberia was taught with English language, you do not need to provide any further proof of English language proficiency. That means IES or whatever TOEFL it's not necessary for you to apply for admission. So most of the schools here, once you have your first grade taught in English language or your high school, then you do not need to provide any further proof of English language proficiency. Perhaps just to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, you can get a letter from your school showing that you finished your first grade with English language. But as long as you have your first grade in English language, you do not need to provide any further proof of English language proficiency. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so Emmanuel Dennis. Emmanuel Dennis wants to come in. Yeah, Emmanuel Dennis, please come in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mute. Everyone can mute as well. I think we'll have some feedback. Okay, thank you. Thank you ever so much. Whatsoever you are watching, we want to say welcome to the exchange. Please help and share the show because we are having some informative information here tonight. So my concern have been drawn to because once we students these days, we are very, very, very lazy. That is when it comes to doing research, how to come across the proper university, how to actually know that this university, because nowadays most of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora are scamming most of our brothers and sisters back home, especially when it comes to these studies abroad, because everyone wants to study abroad. Is a good thing. It's amazing to actually leave your country to go. So how can one authenticate that, okay, the university I'm chatting with or the person I'm chatting with is actually the main person from the university? That's one. Two, how can one also identify those groups of university? Because I'm in India and I can probably, let's say, figure out how many universities in Europe and which one of those universities are accepting the English professional test score and which one is not accepting the English professional test score. So are there any insights, like link, or can you mention some of those universities or how you can easily find some of these universities?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you very much, Elijah Dennis. I think you raised a very important point in terms of a lot of people from Africa are very, very lazy to make some basic research. And I have experienced this. I have a YouTube channel that I opened like a year ago. And I put my Instagram link in my channel and my Twitter account is there. So I get DM most of the time from people who watch my videos. And I've done videos about University of Luxembourg, videos about universities in Austria, Vienna, videos about schools in Czech Republic, Charles University, Czech University of Life Sciences, many of them, even Slovakia, Belgium, Hungary. And that's something that is very, very consistent with most people who contact me. They do not want to do the job. You know, somebody contacts you about a school, they didn't watch the video completely, and there's always a link to my videos on YouTube channel. Most don't even click on it, right? And most times when I talk about schools, I put a specific link to the specific page where you can find the courses. I atomize in a very clear way. So for these courses, for this faculty, click here, click here, click here. And that will take you to the page where you're going to see authentic information about a given school, a given course, and the requirements so that you can confirm what I'm telling you, whether it's true or fact. So most people don't go extra mile. Nobody is going to feed you Sussex for breakfast, Sussex for lunch. You have to go extra mile to do your own research. So the reason why a lot of people are being scammed because they don't have the right information. You don't need any agent to help you apply for school. It's as easy as eating pizza. Just take your time to understand the process, right? You need the basic information. In my video, I summarize like 10 minutes. I cannot talk about the whole school in 10 minutes, but the basic facts are there. What do? You watch the video, you click on the link, and then take your time to study the requirement. Every school has a website, and their real website will tell you exactly all the requirements you need to have to apply for their courses. The deadline of application, when to upload, application fee, the school fees, they are there. Why do you need an agent to tell you something you can see by yourself, right? So people must be advised to make sure they're independent and look for the right information, which is why such a platform like this is there for them to see that you can do it yourself. I knew one guy who contacted me when I was in Luxembourg. My friend told me about him. He was trying to go to study somewhere in Ukraine before this crisis. And I was like, first of all, Ukraine is not European Union member state, of course. And he has an agent he found in Lagos that actually charge him almost two or $3,000, right, to help him process admission or whatever. I said, that is ridiculous. That money, you can use it to pay for school fees for 4 years here and still pay accommodation and have some change left. And eventually, what happened? The guy had the money, didn't help him to get admission, and he was stranded because he failed to do basic research. So my advice is that take your time to look for the right information. Study about the school website. Don't go and believe people who tell you stories are going to help you. Do it yourself. Because at the end of the day, you don't need to use an agent to get admission. Of course, there are a few of them who are genuine. Maybe they can advise you what to do. But most importantly, you can do it yourself. Just take the time. For example, some guys will contact me online. I will say, okay, excuse me, I watch your YouTube channel. How can I apply for school? And I will take time to call them on my Instagram. 30 minutes of conversation and outline this procedure step by steps. And you tell them that you need to get a transcript. They're going to say, oh, how can I get my transcript? My school in Nigeria is very difficult. They start giving excuses. So when you are desperate, you don't want to be patient to find it. These scammers will feed on you because they feed on your ignorance and desperation. So they are not patient to follow the process to get admission. They want to get it now. And once you're in that state of mind, they're going to feed on you and scam you. So people must calm down that this thing is not like a 100-meter, it's a marathon race. You need to plan ahead of time, 2 years time. I want to start my processes, begin to read about the information of the school, the next phase of application, what to get, begin to get the document step by step. When the time comes, just go online, do it yourself. And if you're not very sure, you can make inquiries. The school can answer you, send them email, call them on phone, they'll respond to you. So people must try to avoid people who will not mislead them by giving the wrong information. You can do it yourself. Look for the information, search for it, and believe that it is not impossible to do it yourself if you have the right information. And then how can you identify the right university? Like I said again, look for information. Even if you just type now, simple Google search, free universities in the European Union member state, just free affordable tuition fees in Europe. It will give you catalog of information. Okay? Then you can begin to synthesize them and look for which one that have interest. Okay, let me check about Luxembourg. Okay, it's a good country, European Union. They have good salary range. I can work after study. I can go work permit after study. So it looks nice. Let me now look for school in Luxembourg. Begin to search. Google is a best friend. So I'm saying, it's a best friend. Then watch some videos. Then go and do your extra research. Then find the right information. So it comes back to the basics. Research. But again, understand your point. People in Africa, because they are not aware of this opportunity, they think it's for the big guys, for the elites, for the rich guys. No, anybody can study in Europe. You just need to have the right information. You don't need to break the bank to fulfill your ambition. For example, in my school here, some BSc, one of my boys that came last 2 years, his cost is actually 300 euros per year. 300, I'm not saying per semester, per year. Right? The PhD I'm doing here is 6,000 Czech crown per year. That's equivalent of roughly 350 euros per year for the whole year. And they still pay me stipends as a PhD researcher. Right? So why would you go and break the bank to go to UK if you can pay 300 euros per year to study in a good university in Europe? That's the point.
Okay, thank you. I think it'll be the last question from my end, and then Samuel is going to come in from there. My question, another question, has to do with the issue of this bank statements and affidavit and support, right? Because in most universities in Europe, America, in Asia, most of them usually ask for supportive letters like probably affidavit and support, who is going to support you. So in Europe, what is the summary when it comes to, because you have to, like, certain amount should be paid before going to certain university. So how is it like? Is all university compulsory to have this money paid to show the particular bank account before you can go there, or it is compulsory that you have academic and support to some of these universities?
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, sure, we're hearing you.
Okay, so most of the universities in Europe, when you are trying to apply for the admission process, they don't really require you to provide financial statements or kind of proof of fund for your study. Most schools in Europe, at least I'm sure of Luxembourg and Czech Republic, that comes into place when you guys start planning for your visa application. Okay, for the admission phase in University of Luxembourg and my school here, the university do not have time to ask you about show us your support of financial support, whatever, or your statement of account that you can fund your studies. That is left for the embassy or the visa consular section during your visa section. So in that case, in your admission phase application, at least for my school, I can talk about that authoritatively. You don't need to provide your back statement of your sponsor or yourself during that phase. However, when you want to apply for your visa, there's a particular amount of money that should be in your own account. For example, in Czech Republic, you need to have a particular amount of money in your account before you can go for the embassy appointment. And you have to print three month statement of account for that visa purpose. I've forgotten the exact figure now, but if you go to Ministry of Interior, Czech Republic, you see the exact figure, how they calculated the threshold. So that means the money has to be in your own account, not your sponsor, in your own account before you can go for visa application. And that fund must be exactly at least the amount stated in their embassy website. However, during admission process in my school here in Czech Republic or even in Luxembourg, you don't need to show proof of financial capability during your application as a student. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Simon, you can come in.
Oh, okay. Thanks very much. Imad, thank you for the explanation again, and I appreciate you for your level of explanation that you've carried on so far. Okay, my question have to do with when we say affordable universities, right? It is a generalized term. So one may come to think of, if you say affordable, like for instance, for a BSc program, for a master program, for a PhD program at various university, can you please outline one of the videos you did for those that don't have the access to your videos? Where can you please outline some of the universities and some of the fees aspect programs and some of the courses? And secondly, I want you to please elaborate on the for example, a student goes to Europe, can they study and at the same time work to help to show us some of that responsibility while studying?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm able to hear you now.
Yeah, we hear
Okay,
you.
yes. So I'm gonna give you a range because I can't remember the exact figure of the whole school of research on YouTube in one go, but I'm gonna give you the benchmark of the range of school fees you can pay in Europe. Okay, and I'll come back to the study and work question. First one is, when I say affordable, it's a relative term. You're right, but I'm coming from the fact that I paid £11,500 for 1 year masters in the UK, right? And if you just oppose that with paying €200 per semester in Luxembourg, then you can see the ocean difference between the two schools. Of course, €200 might be more for somebody who is in a rural community in Liberia or in Nigeria. I get that, but if you look at the contextual analysis in terms of how much you can pay abroad, places like Canada, in US, in UK, and you can pay €200 in Nigeria is about less than, I don't know how much is Nigerian money. That is very, so that's one of the cheapest you can get. So in that case, it is highly affordable. Okay, so for example, for master's program University of Luxembourg, most of them charge €200 per semester. You have 2 semesters in a year, that's about €400 per year, which is pretty much decent. I know even in India, you pay more than that in your school fees, or close to that, right? So if you have a choice of going to India or Georgia or somewhere else in Africa, or paying the time, and you can come to Europe and pay that, you probably choose to come to Europe, right? So that's a better option to choose. So in that regard, and of course, my school here in Czech Republic, Czech University of Life Sciences. I'm gonna give you some examples of courses that you can study here that are quite affordable. So, for example, somebody who wants to study, just gonna get information now in Faculty of Tropical Agri-Science, for example, at the Czech University of Life Sciences. Give me 1 second. You can see that some courses like agri-food system and rural development will cost you about 6,000 Czech crown per year. And that is roughly 250 euros per year, not per semester, per year, right? And then courses like another one again, maybe something like tropical crop management and ecology, will also cost you the same thing, 6,000 Czech crown, about 250 euros per year. I have other courses in Austria that actually cost you the same range, 250, 300 euros per year, 200, sometimes 500. So you can see from the benchmark of 200 and 1,000 euros, you can get catalog of courses across masters, across bachelors, and even PhD in that range. That's what I mean by affordable. For example, PhD here in my school here is about 6,000 Czech crown, and they still pay you 11,000 Czech crown a month for stipend as a PhD researcher. That's about roughly 400 euros per month. So imagine paying more than what you're paying for school fees for a year, right? So in that regard, you are doing PhD research, you're paying 6,000 Czech crown a year, and they're paying 11,000 Czech crown a month. So you do the math, okay? So even without working, if you're very frugal in spending and very disciplined, you can actually survive even without working, just by your stipend as a PhD researcher here, okay? So that means you can actually be confident of studying in Europe without any stress or financial constraint. However, your second question is about study and work. Now, as a general standard, most countries in the European Union, students are allowed to work during their study, part-time, though. I always advise that your primary aim is not to work, but to study, right? So let people not lose that track of abusing the system. Because what you see, a lot of people come to Europe, they stop going to school, they work, and then begin to fail in their studies. That's why you're here in the first place. Balance your study with your work. Make sure your work does not suffer. Even though the system allows you to work, don't come here and then turn to working all the time and forget your study. But however, the system allows you to work while you study. In Luxembourg, during school session, you can work 15 hours per week during school session. In holidays, you can work full-time if you're a certain age bracket. When I was in Luxembourg, I was working at a place called LCSB, part-time, Luxembourg Center for System Biomedicine, inside the university campus, a research center. I was doing just 2 hours a day for 5 days. So after lessons, I go to the lab, do my work, autoclave, disinfect, refill the equipment, and I go. And I was being paid money that was enough for me to feed myself and at least take care of my rent. Okay, right? And then that was fine. Even though I know that I was fine, but I also made sure that my study was not affected. Here in Czech Republic, you can also work and study during your study. And the good thing is that when you finish your study here, or anywhere in Europe, in Czech Republic, Luxembourg, you can apply for work permit straight away, right? And when you have work permit, you can work full-time after your studies. And if you stay 5 years in the country, you can apply for permanent residence in the country. And when you finish your first degree or your master's or whatever, and you have not gotten a job yet to have a work permit, the government will give you 9 months resident permit just to look for a job. 9 months. For example, finish your master's here today, no job offer on the table. You apply for your 9 months visa resident permit to look for a job. Once you show your certificate at the Czech immigration here, and they have finished your program, later from your school, certificate is ready, they'll give you 9 months resident permit to look for a job. And I bet you can get a job within 2 weeks or within 1 month. That's for sure, because they have a low unemployment rate. So at the end of the day, it's all win-win if you're focused. So yes, you can work and study. Affordable means that from 200 euros to 1,000 euros range, that is pretty much affordable relative to UK, Canada, or America, or Australia. Yeah.
Okay, my last question, please. I want you to like throw a little bit of light on the accommodation, your accommodation, please.
You guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, we're hearing you.
So accommodation in Luxembourg or South Luxembourg has a kind of because it's a very expensive. It's not expensive. It's a rich country, so accommodation is a bit high outside the school campus, but within the school campus, it's subsidized for students. When I was living there in Luxembourg, I was paying 350 euros per month, but that was Luxembourg because I was earning money much higher there than other countries, so I was able to pay the accommodation. But here, the school has accommodation in Czech Republic, which is about 4,000 or thereabout Czech crown, which is roughly about maybe 180, 170 euros, depending on foreign exchange conversion per month. Okay, so and this is the subsidized accommodation for all students. And once you are coming here, they prioritize for students, new students in accommodation allocation and PhD researchers. So if you're coming from India now, your first year, you're almost sure to get accommodation from university because that's your first year. So they give priority to new students and of course PhD researchers. And that means you can pay almost half of what you are paid outside the school campus. And that means, for example, here we pay about 4,000 Czech crown per month in the Czech University of Life Science accommodation, which is roughly about $170, $180. And if you compare that with other countries, it's really very, very cheap. Okay, so let's assume that you have a part-time job or you have some fund that you maybe are making 800 euros per month, for example, and your accommodation is 180 euros. Pretty much you can deal with that. Yeah, okay. So if you compare to other countries, in UK, I was paying almost 500 pounds a month many years ago for accommodation, just one room. Then compare that with Luxembourg and here is about less than 200 euros per month. Then it's pretty much very cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, thank you.
And
Tony, you want to come in?
Yes.
Yes, come in, Tony.
I got just one or two questions. But before I ask my question, let me firstly commend our guest for taking on his time to accept our invitation. And my question is this: in Europe, when it comes to the validity of the college credits, how is it like?
Sorry, come again. I'm not clear about what your question. Can you come again?
I'm saying when it comes to the validity of the college or university credits, how is it like?
You mean in terms of the standard of learning here in Europe?
I
The
think she
credits.
I think she meant the validation of the credits. When you were talking about notification, she meant.
Do you mean in terms of your credits you obtain from India, for example?
In terms of the credits, yeah, the validity of the credits in Europe.
Okay, whether the one you start in India is assessed the same standard with the one here. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think and we have a lot of Indian students in Europe, even in this school. So I think your qualification in India is acceptable here, definitely. Just like in Nigeria or Liberia, most of these English-speaking countries, they accept their first degree certificate the way it is. Because normally you're supposed to have like 4 years bachelor's, for example, in Nigeria, 4 years of bachelor's degree program in Africa. So here in Europe, it's at 3 years. So once you have that equivalency, then it's acceptable.
And then, if I happen to live India where I have covered all some of my credits, and then I have an opportunity to go to Europe, and I want to start from where I stopped in India, would that be acceptable, or I will have to start over?
Okay. I see your point. In terms of transfer of credit, right? That's your question. Transfer of credit. Okay, right?
Yes.
Can you hear me? So
Definitely.
It depends on it depends on school. It might be a bit tricky because it depends on how they assess the course you did in India and here, right? and what's supposed to cover before you meet up. So I will advise to complete your study in India before moving, because sometimes the ECTA, what is called European credit system, is a bit complicated in terms of transferring from one place to another. So I would advise to finish your degree in India before you start going, because it might be a bit tricky to transfer halfway from India to Europe. Yeah. So most universities don't accept this transfer of credit across different continents. If, for example, you are doing, maybe you are in Luxembourg, you want to do Erasmus, maybe you want to do part of your course in Czech Republic, it's easier because within European Union member state. But from India, it will be more complicated.
So with the complication, so what are some of the tips that I have to main up with? What are some of those tips as a student in India and I'm trying to go to Europe? What are some of the tips?
What do you mean by tips? In terms of what you need to know, or in terms of your movement or transfer? What do you mean by tips?
Like for instance, in my enrollment to Europe as a student in India, those tips, like those requirements that I have to meet before being acceptable as a student in Europe.
Okay. You're in India now, right?
Yes.
You're doing your first degree or master's?
I'm doing BSc now.
When are you gonna finish your BSc program? What year?
2025.
2025. Okay, so now you have like probably 3 more years to go, right? Or 2 more years to go, right? Okay. So you can actually apply for, if you think that you want to move without finishing in India, you can start apply for a new bachelor's degree program in Europe. You can apply for a new program in Europe. But if you want to stay in India and finish Europe, first of all, make sure you have at least 2.2 in your first degree, second class lower. That's the least you can have to get masters in Europe in most schools. So make sure your final grade point is not less than 2.2 for a start. That's the best minimum you can get. However, you can think about it. I have 2 more years in India, but I can do bachelor's degree 3 years in Europe. Maybe I can apply for a new BSc here and then move from India to here and start again. It's up to you. But if you want to finish in India based on you're going to do master in Europe, then you have to think about, first of all, get a very good grade, not less than 2.2 in India. Then begin to plan 1 year before time, which school you want to go, when are they going to start application, then begin to get a document on time. I always advise start on time so that you don't have problem with your immigration. So that when you're still in India, when you have immigration status stay intact, you can work on that within that 1 year. Maybe have your status in India for extra 1 year, and you're finishing your bachelor's degree program maybe in 8 months before your visa expires. Make sure you don't get stuck in between your visa and renewal and then moving around from India. You get my point? So always plan it that while you are still legally in India, you have already completed your application to come to Europe, so you have more time to maneuver the timing of coming from India to Europe. Okay, so that means plan on time, find the school you want to go on time, get documents on time, and then start the process on time. Okay, but again, you're gonna finish 2025. That's almost like 3 years from now. If you have to ask yourself, can I move next year to Europe or stay in India and finish my first degree? That should be your decision. It might make more sense to start looking for a bachelor's degree program in Europe that you can afford. So while you're doing your first degree in India, you can still be trying opportunities in Europe while you're doing your first degree. If you get a course, for example, next year to come to Europe, and you have to decide, well, 3 years master's in Europe, better environment, better opportunities than wait to India 2025, which one is better for me? They have to decide. But generally speaking, plan on time. Make sure you start before your visa in India expires. Get not less than 2.2 in your first degree. Start applying on time. Look for school now. Have the right information how to apply for it, and then start the process on time.
Okay, I think somebody asked question on the advantages, and it was clearly explained. So, as a student now in Europe, what are some, or international students, what are some of the difficulties for international students go through, most especially for African students in Europe? What are some of the disadvantages?
Difficulties.
Challenges in
Yeah, it could
short.
be the challenges or the disadvantages or difficulties.
Challenges is that most of them are not very careful with their immigration status. Okay, one thing you must not joke with is your permit renewal and the conditions that must be met. These things can change from time to time, right? So always make sure if you're an European Union member state that every time you are always reading the immigration status of your immigration information. For example, I check this in all the time. Any changes you have to know. Sometimes you don't know, you apply and they didn't have the documentation and they reject it and you now find yourself in a fix. Don't wait until last minute to renew your paper. Always apply on time. A lot of people don't adhere to this. For example, in Czech Republic, you can apply for a renewal 4 months before expiration. Why do you have to wait 2 weeks to expiration? It doesn't make sense because one mistake, you are not illegal. And once it's having one problem, it becomes to accumulate. It will lead to another problem. So always make sure you start renewing your document on time. Secondly, please do not break the law. Stay clean out of problem, avoid crime, do what you came here to do. If the law says work 20 hours per semester, do that. Holidays, you can work as you like, that's fine. A lot of students come here, they throw caution into the wind, they're very careless, they work and work and work and work, and then they start failing their courses. If you are not performing well in your school and you're failing courses, the school cannot give you a letter to renew your visa. You'll be in trouble, right? So you have to make sure that your academic side is number one. Your work is number two. Balance it, prioritize what you came here for. If you are careless and you're not coming to lectures, you start failing courses, when you not the letter to renew your visa, school will not say, well, you have failed these courses, you cannot be registered for this next semester. No letter from the school, no visa renewal. So make sure you do not joke with your studies. Make sure you renew your paper on time. Make sure you know when the law changes and act accordingly. Make sure you know you have the right network. Two of my boys that came here, I sit them down, guys, you guys are not in Europe. You're a man, okay? You're a man, right? Be smart. Do the right thing. Go to school. Work, but be sensible with your work. So difficulties, challenge on finance. Okay, finance depends on how you spend your money. If you start going to clubbing and messing around, you'll be wasting your money, isn't it? So it's based on individuals. But if you're very careful with your Python work and with your frugal spending, you can live normally without any stress. So it depends on individuals. If you know what you are here for, you don't break the law, you don't commit crime, you go to school, you work according to the law, I think you can stay in Europe peacefully without any problem. I hear about issue of racism, blah, blah, but I think it's sometimes overblown. I've lived here now. Before I was like, oh, Czech is that. But since I'm here, I've not experienced any racism. And this is 3 years now counting. Okay, so of course there will always be kind of implicit racism. Maybe someone didn't like you in the train station, look at you in a very funny way, but I've not seen any confrontation by anybody. So you don't waste your head thinking about racism. You know what you came here for. Once you obey the law of the land, you don't break their law. You do what you came here to do based on the law. You can live here and fulfill your ambition easily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we have many of our brothers and sisters following from different part of the world, and we want to say thank you for following. And please, as we go on, we ask you to do us a favor by continuing to share the show. And we have one of our panelists following, Jolene Kanwe. Jolene T. Kanwe, we want to say thank you for following from India, Punjab State. And we have Thomas, my own son, one of the senior players in India. He's following live from India, Ludhiana, Punjab State, Senetic Business College. I want to say thank you for following. We have our brother following, Bill N. Vi. He's following live from Banga City, Bon County. That is our own country, Liberia. We have Lee T. Gibson following from the Kingdom of Morocco. We want to say thank you for following. We have Seba D. Molo following. She's following from Liberia, our own country. And we also have Desire T following. Desire T is following also from Liberia. We have Dana Gibson. We have Honorable Felix Sai Bakima. He's also following. He's one of our lawmakers here in India for the Liberian students. And we also have Capsom following. We have Joseph Joe Dolo. We have Ambassador Randa Yane, and many others. So I want to say thanks to everyone for following. As you just joined us, this is the Exchange, and the Exchange is an online platform that brings to you live issues relating to social, political, and economic exchanges, issues relating to entertainment, issues relating to sports, and many more. Issues relating to the welfare of Liberians and Liberia, both in and out of Liberia. So we ask you to please share the show. As you follow, we ask you to please share the show, because this is a very important and fascinating discussion from our own brother Emmanuel, who is currently residing in Europe, Czech Republic to be specific. And our brother went through a whole lot of studies from his home country, like Nigeria, and to Luxembourg. From Luxembourg, currently he is doing his PhD or PhD candidate in Europe, to be specific, Czech Republic. So he's actually drawing us through, and we are having this interactive discussion with him, issues relating to how to get to Europe and how to study at affordable universities. So basically, Brother Emmanuel, there is just one thing, right? Almost all of the figures you've been mentioning, issues that has to do with payments, right? Issues that has to do with fees. You always issue that has to do with job, issue that has to do with salary. You always measure almost everything in Europe, right? And for us, right, as Liberians, I want to speak for me, right, in particular. Europe, probably people could find it difficult to understand that. So is it prudent as well? You talk about USD, maybe if you speak about 200 euro per month or on a monthly basis or per semester, how much would that be in USD? Probably if you have idea on that. Then another thing has to do with the fees payment. How is the fee payment looking like? Is it like when you arrived in Europe before you pay your fees, or you will be in your home country, or probably we that in India, we stay here, we pay our fees before coming? That's one. That's two, right? The third one has to do with scholarship issue. Are there categories of scholarship? Probably full scholarship, partial scholarship, government scholarship, or whatsoever scholarship. Could you speak a little bit to that? And time is not actually in our favor. We should be ending at this time by now, but unfortunately, we could not start the show soon. So I think we will add something like 20 minutes. So we have roughly 20 minutes to end the show. So we want you to just elaborate and summarize the summary on issues relating to the fees payment, on issues relating to the categories of scholarship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abraham. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I live in the European Union, so I'm used to calling euro. Okay, so but now dollar, US dollars is getting is becoming stronger now. So I just did a conversion. So 200 euros is actually equivalent of close to $201, almost the same rate anyway. So the difference between euro and dollar now is quite good because of this dollar strength now that's increasing the market. So I think the plus or minus, if you have 200 euros, equivalent of 200 and something, between $1, $202. So they're quite very close. So the difference is not that much. So for example, if I want to convert 300 euros now to dollar here from currency conversion, so 300 euros will give me $302, right? Because now dollar is gaining more strength in the capital market now. So it's almost like close the same conversion. So that's for that. Some types of scholarship. I have a video about Hungary. They have a scholarship program in Hungary. Most of the school that's completely free in Hungary. Okay, completely free. That means from the tuition fees accommodation, and some stipend for feeding expenses also provided. And I made a video about that in my channel as well. So some countries have scholarship scheme that you can also apply for. So when I talk about affordable tuition fees, some of them are also free. You don't have to pay anything. For example, in Norway, although they're trying to change the law now, I read recently, but in Norway, before now, you can apply for most in Norway without paying any fees. In fact, scholarship in Norway schools, quite free, affordable. So it's not enough that you have to pay something. Some actually completely free, okay? Like in Hungary and in Norway. So you just have to check out which one that you can fit into your own requirement. But note that if you are trying to apply for scholarship, the standard is quite different because you have to make sure you meet the criteria for the scholarship. You have to have a better result and write the motivational letter. Just pass through screening processes, so it becomes more challenging. So sometimes it's better to pay the small tuition fees and then save your stress all the scholarship protocols and bureaucracy. If you know what I mean. But then, if you want to follow the scholarship process, they're also there. I'm sure of Hungary have a scholarship called Stipendium Scholarship in Hungary, which they do every year. Okay, so check if your country is part of the program. Wait for the time for it to open and apply for it. It's completely free for everybody. Okay. Then also in Norway, most of the schools they're actually free as well. Now, in terms of how the school fees are paid, using my school here as an example, Czech Republic. Once you have gotten admission and you have your application accepted, then your document evaluated, you pay the school fees before they give you the final admission letter. Okay, right? So it's the same thing. So you pay the school fees to the school. Once they confirm that, they send you a document for your visa, which will include offer letter and accommodation contract, and that's it. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So to all of our followers,
Have I
we
answered
want
your
you.
question? Right?
Yeah,
Did I
sure,
answer the
sure.
question? Okay.
Sure. To all of our followers, we have the numbers on the screen there, so you can use that number to call and make your own input. Or probably if you have a question, you can use that number to call and ask your question. Time is not in our favor now. Time is fast spent, and roughly we have about 20 minutes to end the show, so you can use the number over there to call. And I think our brother is in alacrity. He's in readiness to answer almost all of your questions. And because we don't have ample time, so probably our brother, you should please be ready as well to appear on our show at any time. Maybe we'll call you in a later time to see how best you can still come and elaborate more on this opportunity, because these are some of the opportunities we've been yearning for, we've been searching for all around. Some people doing it on their own may face some difficulties. So having somebody who will serve as a guardian, yeah, I think we really appreciate this. So this is another question, right? The issue about I think Tony and the panelists was speaking on a little bit. She was speaking on the issue about the credit, authentication, something like that. But I want to put it this way, right? The issue about transfer program, right? Transfer program in the sense that I'm doing medical laboratory science, or I'm doing BSc IT, right? And BSc IT runs for 3 years in India, in some institution, for example, the institution that I attend. And then probably in Europe, there are some institutions, maybe BSc IT runs for 4 years or less than that. So if I want to take a transfer from India here to Europe, so the issues about transfer, how the issues about transfer looks like, do you have any idea on that, to elaborate a little bit on that? As we await callers to call, you can be elaborating on that in the meantime.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. I think in terms of transfer, there are two things you have to consider. What is the relationship between the specific course you are doing in India and what you want to transfer into? Okay, and this has to be based on case-by-case basis and university system. So I think the best bet is that if you find a program, BSc in Europe is 3 years.
Okay.
It's 3 years. Here is 3 years. Standard. Everywhere in Europe is 3 years, not 4 years, 3 years. Most BSc is 3 years. So if you find a course that is specifically linked to the one you're doing in India. All right. You have to check the profile of the course you want to move into and check if they have some the same component with the one you have in India. Okay. And the best thing is to contact the admission department of the school in question you are trying to go to. They might look at your transcript already and they will advise you if they can accept you based on that result or not. Okay. So some schools do have some regulation in terms of transfer, but some schools do not have that. So I can't give you the exact school which does or not. But the point is that you have to make sure that the course is exactly or closely to what you are trying to transfer into. And then the number of years is the same. The structure is almost the same. Then you can now contact the school you have interest in, and they maybe attach your transcript already from your school in India, and they can look at it case by case basis and tell you if they accept transfer from India, number one, and if your costs are related to what they have in their country. They can decide on that based on case by case basis. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So to all of our followers, you can use the number on the screen there to call. Time is not in our favor, so you can use the number on the screen there to call. So I think we are listening to our brother Emmanuel, and he elaborated a lot on the issues that has to do with documentation, on the issues that had to do with authentication, on the issues that has to do with fees, on the issues that has to do with scholarships, and many more, and accommodation as well, which is key. So all of these things are all cardinal. All right. So one thing that has to do with feeding expectation, because if you go for studies, why it is true that you are going to look for accommodation to go to school, but the issue
Abraham,
the food, yes.
I think we have a call on the line. Hello, caller. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, hello. My name is Joseph Dore. I'm calling from India, Telangana.
Okay, make your point 1 minute, sir.
Yeah, my question here goes to the guests on the program. My question is, I'm in India. I'm studying, doing BSc, 3 years program. What's the process like to go to his university in Czech Republic there? How's the whole process like for India now to go there? If you can please drill us through.
Okay, thank you all so much. I think you listened to his question, and his question is, he is in India and he is studying a 3 years program, and after his 3 years, what is the process? How can he get to Czech Republic there? Can you please elaborate on that? So I want to say welcome to the exchange. He's going to answer your questions. He's going to go directly to your questions. But after the entire show, we'll be posting his YouTube link on our page, where you'll be able to go and access the information. Get it straight, he is not a consultant, because all of people will say, okay, he is a consultant, people should go through him to get and to pay him to do this.
Please, I'm not. Please, don't pay me anything. Just information.
He is not a consultant. He is only Africans that is willing to serve humanities, that wants to help his brothers and sisters to go to the diaspora to achieve quality education. So on that note, we post his WhatsApp link on our official page, the exchange, where you can go and access the link and go through his many videos. If you have questions, you contact him, and then he's going to answer the question. They are allowed to be talked about, but the time is very, 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 very short. So can you just summarize his questions within maybe 1 or 2 minutes, because we have no time anymore. Then you can give your pattern comments, and the panel is going to stay and analyze the show for today.
Okay, so thank you for the person that called from India. So my response to him is very simple. Focus on your BSc, complete your program on time, make sure you have at least 2 second class lower division in your BSc program. Once you are in your final year and you are sure you're going to graduate maybe in 2 or 3 months' time, start preparing for your documentation. You need to have your certificate in India. You need to have your transcripts of record from your school in India. You need to have your Liberian passport ready that is not less than 6 months expiration duration. You need to prepare your CV in Europass format. Europass. Go to Google, search Europass. You create a profile and then prepare your CV. Make sure there's no gap in your CV and add all your qualification, your work experience, whatever that will make you to have more chance of getting admission. and then look for the school application period. For example, my school in Czech Republic here, they start application usually October, November every year for the next year winter intake. For example, those that will start next year September, they will open application para from this month or next month. So begin to watch that deadline and when they're gonna start. And once application starts, get your transcript from your school, authenticate it, get your certificate of graduation, get your Liberian passport, make sure it's not less than 6 months before it expires, get your CV ready, and then make online application on time. Make sure that you have enough space in your visa in India so that you don't have to get yourself stuck in immigration issue before you move to Czech Republic. So have time frame to apply for the courses. And once you do this thing, make online application, do your online interview. If you pass it, send document for internal evaluation here, and then get admission, pay the school fees, then go and apply for Czech Embassy, your visa, Czech Embassy in India. That's pretty much it. And if you need more information, you can check my channels and then you can ask questions there as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Manuel. So all of those following, you can use the number on the screen over there to call. So, Brother Manuel, as I was saying, right, the issue that has to do with feeding expectation.
Yeah.
You elaborate a little bit on lodging accommodation. So the issue that has to do with feeding expectation, probably it could be the food that the people cook there, whether it's to the taste of Africans. That's one. Another one has to do with the taste is one, right? Another one has to do with the whether it is expensive or less expensive, right? Or whether it is affordable. The same terminology we use, right? So whether it's affordable. So I want you to speak a little bit to that.
You don't want to come here and start eating Liberian food in Czech Republic. This man.
I want to eat tteokbokki in Czech Republic.
You have to tell your mom to ship it from Liberia to you in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, there's a couple of Asian shop. You can buy some African spices around. Maybe a few Asian shop, vitamin shop, also some African shop. I've seen some from Nigerian shop, Ghanaian shop around. But the least thing you should worry about is food in Europe. It's the cheapest thing you can deal with. Okay. Food is the least thing you should worry about. Trust me. Personally, I cook my food. I don't like eating junks. I don't buy stuff if I'm traveling. I cook my food. So basic stuff like rice, beans, you can buy them in the shop. They're not very expensive. On me, personally, it depends on how you spend. I spend like probably maybe 20 euro a week for my shopping, for my food stuff. 20, 30 euros a week. And that's enough for me for the whole week. So I don't spend much. So food is not a problem here. Okay, so don't worry about that. If you need a special delicacy in Liberia, then go back to Liberia and bring it to Czech Republic.
Okay, let's take the caller. Hello, sir. What's the name and where are you calling from?
Felix Bakiman from Punjab, India.
Okay, sir. We'll listen to your questions in 1 minute, sir.
Okay, so let me extend my appreciation to the Chief Forum for hosting such an individual who is giving me insight on how we can get opportunities in Europe. So this is my question. I just want our guests to make mention on the first step that was the primary step in getting connection with this university to kickstart the process, whether it's through him or there's a direct link to get to the university.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
You're welcome. So his question is as to whether you are a consultant or somebody not a consultant perhaps, but as to whether people can contact you to get close to the many universities we are talking about today in Europe, or is there a link to share with us? Probably we share on the page of the exchange that our students can go to and they can access this link and infiltrate the process. So after this, we are not taking call anymore because we are really out of time. And after these questions, our guest here is going to be concluding on the topics today, and the panelists are going to be seated to analyze the discussions for tonight's show. Ibrahim.
Okay, can I go now? Can I answer him now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, the guy that called from India, for your question. Firstly, please, I am not a consultant for admission. Okay, I've got a lot of questions from people who ask me, can I help them and all that. I'm extremely busy person. I'm doing my PhD in final year. I'm writing my paper publication now, and I teach in the colleges. So I have no time for specific consultants. I don't want to get involved in that money thing for now. However, I always respond to questions in my page. So I have a YouTube channel, and the reason why I designed that is to help our brothers in Africa to access this information, for them to understand I don't need to break the bank to study in Europe. That's why I opened the channel, not for any other reason. Okay. At this point in time, I'm not helping people to process admission or to pay me whatever. Please don't pay anybody anything on my name. I'm not doing that. However, if you access my channel, which the link is here, I'll put the link here in this exchange, you will see I have countless of videos of schools. I mean, I didn't say schools in Czech Republic, in Austria, in Luxembourg, in Belgium, in Slovakia, in Hungary, many schools, about more than 20 videos. And each of my video, you see a link below the video, specific link that will take you to each of the university's webpage and the faculties in question. Please, once you go there, take your time, read the instruction, and you find everything about application process, the deadline, the requirement. If you are very, very careful and disciplined, you can take your time to understand these things and start the process by yourself. If you have any questions based on whatever I've said here on my channel, I always drop my Instagram link and Twitter account in my videos. You can DM me, send me a DM on Twitter, on Instagram, and I will respond to all your questions when I can. Finally, again, you can do this yourself. Don't go and be scammed by any agent who will tell you they will help you, will pay them money, and they do nothing. If you are very careful, you are intentional, you are dedicated, you can just access the right information, start on time, and do it yourself. Bottom line, you don't have to break the bank to study in Europe. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we want to say bravo to our guests. We want to say thank you so much, and to all of those following, we want to say thank you for following. And lastly, before we give the time to our guest to give his parting comment, we would like to extend our regards to few personalities here in India. We would like to extend our regards and gratitude to the president for the Association of Liberian Students in India, James Tomuflomo. He is our leader in India. And we also want to extend our regards to the vice president. We want to extend our regards to the Speaker of the House of Parliament, Kangale Batwa, and we want to extend our regards to Anthony Kamara of SUM Chairman, and Hasifa Tape Jr. LRM Chairman, and to all of our many followers, we want to extend our special regards and gratitude to you for following our show and also sharing our show. So we ask you to continue following and continue sharing so that many of our brothers and sisters, Liberians and other Africans, can make maximum use of the opportunities, the ideas, the knowledge that we share on this platform. So as such, time is not in our favor. It is exact 11:10, and this is the time for us to leave. So we ask our guest to give his parting comment, and all of the panelists will remain on the show so that we can analyze what we have discussed tonight. Thank you. So, Brother Emmanuel, you can give your parting comment. Another thing I wanted to discuss, but probably time is not in our favor, could be about drugs, because you are making research on drugs discovery. But I think we'll discuss that another time.
I have a link. Yeah. I made a video about job in my channel, so students can find job here. It's not a problem. You can find job here.
Okay, because that's another important issue. So you can give your parting comment here now, and then you leave.
Okay, first of all, someone was asking about my channel, so maybe you can share that with them later. Somebody was asking that about the YouTube channel.
Definitely, we're going to share your channel on our official page, and everybody will get access to it there.
Okay, firstly, thank you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job to creating this profile, this platform to help people in Africa and Liberia to have the right information. So Simon, was the person who told me about this thing, and because I always encourage a noble cause like this, so I didn't even hesitate to agree to appear on your platform. So Simon, thank you for inviting me, and the panel, Dennis, yourself, Abraham, and the lady Tonya. Please, you guys are amazing. So keep the fire going. I appreciate the effort that you guys are making to helping your people to have the right information. That's how we can help build Africa and make Africa a greater place. Okay. Once again, I'm glad to be here. And then I have to leave you guys in this parting shot. Guys, always seek for the right information. Don't think it's impossible. If you don't try, you don't know. So give it your best. You can study in Europe and fulfill your dream of being in Europe at a very affordable tuition fees. See for the right information. Don't be scammed. Do it yourself. You can do it yourself. So once again, thank you guys for inviting me. I appreciate it, and it's nice. It's almost like 2 hours, but I really enjoyed it. Okay, thank you guys once again, and bye from me.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Yeah, so that was our brother Emmanuel Okpa. Yeah, I thought I did not pronounce the name well, but he said, in fact, I pronounced it well. So that was our brother Emmanuel. So we can analyze the show and probably give our own input, how we really take everything to be like, starting from the issue that has to do with the process, yeah, and issues that has to do with fees, issues that has to do with documentation, issue that has to do with lodging, accommodation, feeding, protection, and so on. So we can start with our brother Samuel, because Samuel, you did extremely well. Thank you for bringing the brother on the show. Yeah. So we can start with you first.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks so much, and I much appreciate every one of us for being here and doing our best. Like what I really got for him, because I have been following this guy channel, and he has been so much supportive to a lot of Africans back home and a lot of Africans around the world in terms of affordable university and as it relates to the fees rather. And I think it will shock you to know that some of what we are paying here is even more than what some of the universities are accepting on that side. And moreover, there are a lot of opportunities that come along with it. If you do a case study, a comparative analysis with India here, you will come to know that we are studying India and there's no working opportunities for us. But if you go to places like Europe to go and study, you have a working opportunity, you have the chance to work, like for example, like he regularly stated, you have like 15 hours, let's say a week to work. And that 15 hours a week is something that is great to help you in some of your, your daily expenses and what have you, even in terms of your accommodation. And moreover, more so, once you go there, you have a Schengen visa, right? And as he regularly stated, you have the opportunity to travel to almost all of the Schengen countries in that region without a visa. So for instance, if you are in Czech Republic studying, you can go to Germany, you can go to Hungary, you can go to Slovakia, you can go without like restriction, no visa. You don't need visa, you just need probably some money in your pocket and just go. So what I would say here today, most especially in terms of the documentation, right? As he regularly stated, there are not much Liberians who knows that once you are going out for study, you have to. I think I'm getting feedback, right? Am I audible, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So there are not most Liberians who knows that you have to go to Ministry of Higher Education or the Ministry of Education to go and get some.
Turn your mic off.
Okay. So there are not more Liberians who know that you have to go to the Ministry of Education or the Commission on Higher Education to get some, let's say, notarization of your documents, and more so to even go to foreign affairs. So we should start to think about that. Once you are coming to travel, you go ask a relevant question, go to the Commission on Higher Education and ask the relevant questions. Go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and ask the relevant question. And I think all will be okay. Let's make use of this opportunity. There's no faking about it. You are not sending money to anybody. Just access the information and ask the necessary question, and everything will be okay. I think for me, that's the point.
Thank you. Tonya? Coming.
So let me firstly appreciate our guest for taking his time to provide us some information on how we can get the affordable opportunities in studying in Europe. So from his explanation, I think we were all able to capture some of those requirements, and then how we can get easily to Europe without all going through the process of getting another person involved. He also enlightened us on how we can use the internet wisely and easily to get to some of those universities or colleges in Europe, but not going through a process of passing through someone. So I must commend him for that, and also to our team members and the organizer for organizing the show. It actually opened our minds on some things that we were not in the know of. Like, for instance, in our country, sometimes people want to get acquainted with those scholarship programs. They have to go to Ministry of Education to get some names of some of those programs and how they can get it. At times they go through difficulties like spending some money, buying buying a scholarship. At times it is so difficult for us. So now that he have given us his idea, and then what he have experienced over the time in Europe, I think it is good that we as Liberians will use the internet wisely in getting those scholarship and then making our way easy in acquiring or suitable education in Europe. So let me commend you guys for this. Okay, I stopped.
Yeah, Elijah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me say this very quickly before I don't forget. To all of our followers, to our viewers today, we want to say this information, we are not going to let go of it very easily. We're going to place this information on our official site. So all you have to do is just probably follow us, and then you will be able to access his let's say YouTube link, where you'll be able to understand for yourself in depth. Like he said, Abraham, he said, we are very, very weak when it comes to research, right? We don't have the patience. That's why these days we are being scammed, because if you go on the internet, you're going to see the right information on the internet. But unfortunately, we don't want to go that route. We prefer telling someone, please do this for me, please do this for me. At the end of the day, people will lie to us, they will take our money, they will walk away, and then we just stay in a place of dilemma and not understanding where to go as well. So I think show of church is very, very okay to bring them on live, so that they can understand, they can explain to us, they can help us, and make our brothers and sisters to understand how these things work. Because if we ourselves come out here and tell them, okay, these things are like this, they will not believe it. They will probably want to pay money to agencies so that they can come true. And I can tell you for free, he will be here probably within the next 1 week again, because we need more information on these things. This platform actually created for to enlighten the minds of the young people, the students community, the working community. So when we lay here on short information, I think it's very relevant to this platform, Abraham. I think so. So I think we can bring him back.
Definitely.
I think, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much. So I think basically that's almost all. Yeah, he mentioned the issue about documentation, and I think we all follow that. Yeah, and he talked about transit of record, high school document, probably if you want to go for your first degree, and he talked about CV, and he went further talking about the specific format, right? EUFA, so we can make research on that. And I think, as our brother said, once you have access to one European country, you have access to the entire 27, member states. So no need to get extra visa to travel to another. I think that's another amazing thing. And he also talked about the authentication. The only thing that I didn't actually get from him, probably we from India, and I think it will be prudent that we still bring him back because time was not in our favor today. Yeah, the issue that has to do with us in India as Liberians. What would be the role of the embassy, right? Maybe if we have embassy, can we go to the embassy to give a letter? Because normally others go to their embassy, they will give them certain document letter from the embassy, issue them that letter, then it makes the process easier, right? So probably if we bring him back, these are some other questions, additional questions, and few other questions we'll still be asking to know more about the process. I think it will actually help us in the process. And the good thing about it, many people who come on such platform, they will say, yes, you have to send everything to me, you have to pass through me, you have to, everything will be them. But then he is saying that no need to pass through him. He even went further telling us that he's not even an agent. He only helping us, to help God to explain the process. So he's just doing this voluntarily. So I think that's another good thing I like about him. Yeah, so basically the issue about feeding, because one thing I love so much is food. So if I'm going anywhere, I'm so eager and anxious to know about it. Yeah, because if in the morning, the first thing I think about is to eat. Afternoon is to eat. Evening is to eat. Before lying down is to eat. So, and he talked about the least thing to worry about is food. So I think I love that area as well. So many other things. So I think the issue about accommodation. Another important thing is going to school and working, right? Going to school and working. Unlike India, you want to go to school. If you want to work here, man, it's difficult because it will be very tedious for you to even understand what you're doing. It will be even tedious for you to get a job and be well paid, right? And over there, you're going to get a job and be well paid at the same time going to school. So that's another advantageous aspect, and many more. So I think it was actually okay. And our brother Emmanuel Opala, he did very well. He did extremely well. And to all of our followers, he did well for following. And to all of our callers, he did well, and your inputs were necessary. And for those who were trying to call but were not ready, go through due to time factor, we want to say sorry, and we want to say please forgive us. The next time he comes, we'll also give you the time to also give your input. On that note, we want to say
Abraham, before you go, please, before you go, let our followers to know that it's not only about working while going to school, right? He also said that even if you complete your study, there are opportunity for you to apply for job permanently.
Yeah, sure.
And if you work for 5 years, you have the right to apply for permanent stay. So it's not like India where after your study, then they shift you back.
You need to go back.
So after study in Europe, you get an opportunity.
After your study, people don't want to see you say fine. They'll be telling me, man, when you going now? When you going?
Limited time. So unlike that, when you are in Europe, you have the opportunity to work. And after 5 years of work, you have the right to apply for permanent status to live there permanently as a citizen.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that is great.
So, I think that's great, amazing. So on that note, to all of our followers, this is the Exchange platform where we bring to you issues relating to social, political, and economic exchanges, issues relating to entertainment, and issue relating to the welfare of Liberians, both in and out of Liberia. On that note, we say thank you for following, and every good thing has an end. I'm Ibrahim Valley Kamara from You need to explain the music to us. You need to explain the music to us.
Hello. Nemba